They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
Oh, if Jeremy Hill can hold on to a fucking football.
That doesn't make sense.
You're listening to the P&E Bengals Fan Podcast.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, podcasters, to the Bengals weekly podcast from Pete and E. Just want to say hello to everybody out there, and thanks for all the support we've gotten so far. And we have heard through various people we'd like to have some guests on every now and then, maybe some guest questions. So if you have any questions you want to shoot to Pete and E, please hit us on our Twitter. And what is our Twitter, Erskine?
All right, that's going to be Pete and Erskine. And we also have one for Pete specifically, and that's Cincy Philo, CINCYFELOH.
Yes, on your Twitter universe, which is, I'm new to the universe, so please come over and come say hi to me. Last week we covered some of the free agent happenings for the Bengals, but the week's been kind of slow. So me and E have decided, or E and I, have decided to maybe take a quick look at the 2016 opponents for your Cincinnati Bengals, and maybe just kind of do a quick preview and take a look at maybe our first thought at some of the games that we have scheduled for 2016. We look like we have a very exciting schedule and a really fun schedule, and we should be able to see a lot of talent come and play against us this year. As always, in the AFC North, we have the home and away with the Ravens, Browns, and Steelers, all our hated foes. For all those out there in Bengal land, who knows? What do you think as far as the Ravens go? Think we can sweep them both, or go 1-1, or 0-2? What do we look like?
All right, so the Ravens, I'm going to say we're going to pull both of those games, actually.
Wow, so you think the Ravens are going to take a step back even after signing Wallace and Weddle and things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's all going to depend on our actual, what we do in the draft and what we do with our offense, but if we play like we know the Bengals can play, I think the Ravens and, by extension, the Browns, we're going to have their number.
Wow, that's pretty heavy. I'll say this. The Ravens are always tough, even though we've seen them have their number lately since Joe Flacco has joined their fold of the Ratbirds, if you will. I think I'm always optimistic, but at the same time, division games can always go either way. So I always look at each of the division games, whether it's the Ravens, Browns, or Steelers, like 1-1 is what you want the minimum to be, like to be 3-3 out of that division. But the Ravens, yeah, they look a little down. You would expect for them to bounce back a little bit. I'm going to say 1-1. I am.
All right, fair enough. Like you said, it's always nice and conservative to just say in a good year, it's nice to at least get half of your division. So 3-3 is good. 4-2 is obviously better.
But I do agree with you when it comes to the Browns that we might be able to get both of those, and only because it's expected the Browns are going to draft the Goff kid, and they're probably going to have him start right away and just get his lumps this year and learn on the fly kind of a deal, because I just don't see who the Browns would bring in as a quarterback. And even if they brought in somebody like Kaepernick or whatever, I'm still not sold that the Browns will be ready to go.
See, I'm going to go opposite with you there. I'm going to say we go 1-1 against the Browns, just because Hugh Jackson's going to be in the fold, and he knows what our offense and our defense is going to be looking like. So I think he's going to be trying to bring it to us, maybe with a little bit of trickery, try to bring it to us, show it to his own team. So,
but here's my thinking. They've already lost a ton of talent through free agency. They lost their center, Mack. I think they lost another guard. They lost some wide receivers.
That's true. They lost a lot.
So they lost a lot of pieces, and so they're kind of rebuilding, especially if they're going to go with the rookie QB. And even if they don't, like I said, even if they pick up a Kaepernick or RG3, they're still going to have to learn Hughes' offense. I just don't see them having the talent, defensively or offensively, to bang with us next year. So I'm gonna stick with my 2-0 on Cleveland.
All right. Well, we're both 3-1 at this point, so let's just keep it going.
All right. Then we obviously the hated Steelers, which should be interesting because of the very violent undertones of last year's matchups. So I will be curious to see. Number one, you have to imagine that one of those games are going to be prime time. You have to.
Right.
I mean, after all the, the hubbub about the playoff game and Vontaze and Antonio Brown and the whatnots, I think you're going to see at least one of those games on primetime television and possibly early in the year. They always seem to like to catch the Bengals in primetime early because they know that we just really have a faulty record in primetime. And so the NFL never wants to catch the risk of us being like on the way to a 4-12 season and they got us in primetime later in the year.
Uh-huh.
So they always seem to put us on primetime in the beginning of the year. And I would almost bet that the Steelers are going to be one of them. So I'm going to go 1-1 with the Steelers,
All
and
right.
usually because we play them really well in Pittsburgh, but we don't always play them well at home. I think that kind of holds true this year. I think Roethlisberger's got another decent year up his sleeve before he starts to decline. The Steelers are always tough for us. Mentally, they seem to have an edge on us. So I'm going to go 1-1 there.
Keep in mind that I was just going to mention that, was it Markevius Bryant or whatever? He is suspended for a year.
Yeah, suspended for the year. But you know what? They dealt with that last year with
True.
him being suspended for the first 4 games. I think they'll recover from that okay. I mean, he's definitely a threat.
It's really a Le'Veon Bell issue. Is he going to stay healthy? Because when he's there, they're on all cylinders between him and Antonio Brown.
I mean, as long as Ben Roethlisberger's under center, they're going to compete.
That's true.
I don't think they'll miss Bryant that much. I mean, no matter who Big Ben is throwing to, he'll find a way to throw it to somebody. I was going to say the thing is with Ben Roethlisberger is, the same thing with Tom Brady. How much longer do they got before you start to see that natural decline? And not only that, but Roethlisberger's been beat up during his career.
Man.
I mean,
Yeah, he has.
The guy has just numerous nicked up injuries. He always comes back. He's a tough trooper. But the bottom line of it is, I still think he can pull out one more decent season before all those aches and pains start getting to him. So I'm going to stick with 1-1 there.
All right. I'm a little nervous about it myself. I want to say 1-1. I also want to say they win both of them. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with, I'm going to be optimistic and say 1-1.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely get at least one because we always play them in Pittsburgh really tough.
Yeah, but every game is been close with them. You know what I mean? Lately, every game is close, and it really comes down to it being anybody's game, and we always end up pulling one out, and they always end up pulling one out. But at any given season, somebody's going to pull both of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but for right now, I think they're too evenly matched. I think we have more talent than the Steelers do, but they seem to have that big brother, little brother mentality over us, and I think that gets them a game.
All right.
Especially if it's in prime time, because more than anything, I'm just scared of us playing in prime time.
All right, so do you want to do home or away, or you want to just flip-flop them?
Let's cover away first.
Okay, so away, we got the Patriots.
Ooh, boy. In Foxborough, no doubt. Our only hope there is that we can catch them later in the year and hope they're banged up. But honestly, I see us, losing that game in Foxborough, depending on what part of the year that we're in, basically. Tom Brady's just too tough, and they usually have a pretty good squad. And the thing I always love about the Patriots, or watching the Patriots play, is they play very, very, very sound fundamental football. And if you make one mistake, they get you. And so the Bengals never seem to have that mentality to where they can play a 60-minute game without a mental break or two. So I honestly think the Patrioticals probably pull that one out.
All right. I'm with you on that. I think it can go either way. But, yeah, it really just depends on what Bengals team shows up, right? We played a lot this past year with a good amount of mistake-free football. But against the Patriots, it's probably not going to be the case. So I think we'll end up losing that one.
Yeah, so right now we're looking at about a 4-3 record. The next team would be the Jetropolitans of New York. And to be honest with you, I'm not really that scared of the Jets. With their new coach, they play a little bit more sound, but I just don't see them having the overall depth on their roster to really take us down. And even in New York, I think we can win that game. I think it's very winnable, especially if Fitzpatrick is their quarterback. He's good for an INT or two a game, so you can get a little bit of momentum swing there.
Yeah.
Matt Forte is the running back, but, at this age, and adjusting to a new offense, how impactful will he be? So I think we get the Jets.
Well, he'll probably be their, safety cushion because even in Chicago, it's like He's going to run it out of the backfield. They constantly pass it to him, so they'll probably try to utilize him that same way because you're not trying to put the whole game on Ryan Fitzpatrick every week anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is,
But we don't even know if Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to be there, do we?
exactly.
Probably
and the thing
will,
is,
but
Forte has to get used to a new offensive line and new system. I see him being a lot like LaDainian Lee and Tomlinson when Tomlinson left the Chargers and went to the Jets. I mean, yeah, he had some okay years,
right.
but nothing that's going to really, throw out fireworks,
Right.
if you will.
I'm with you, though. I say we win that one against the Jets.
All right, so now we're looking at 5-3. Then we get to go play in Jerryland. We get to go play the Cowboys in Dallas, which will be, I believe, our first look at Jerry World, the brand new stadium they built a couple of years ago. And I don't know, we may have played there in a preseason game lately, maybe 2 years ago. I slightly remember that maybe we've been in that building. But in either case, it should be an interesting game. Obviously, everything with the Cowboys centers around, if Romo can keep the body parts together, and if not, they have just the most horrible backup system. I'm going to say in Dallas, I'm going to say we win that one. I am, because even with Romo and Dez Bryant, who kind of had a wacky year last year, they have a great offensive line, but our defense plays pretty tough, so you got to believe we can lock down on Bryant with Pac-Man Jones and maybe some safety help with Iloka. I think it's a close one, but we can take that one. I'm thinking 24-21.
All right, I'm going to split mine. I'm going to kind of skip ahead a touch because I don't really know specifically what I want to say about the Cowboys, but I do want to say between the Cowboys and their next opponent, the Giants, I think we'll lose one of those two games.
I can definitely see that, definitely. And if we're going to lose one, I'm thinking it's New York, only because Eli Manning.
I mean, you got Eli.
Yeah, and he's no Peyton.
I mean, he's a gift and a curse, right?
Well, he's no Peyton Manning, but
yeah, but some seasons he's like super effective, and other seasons it's just like, But they do have Odell Beckham Jr. They got some other people in the fold there, so.
Yeah, that's true. And Odell Beckham Jr. ain't going to be hard. It's going to be very hard for us to contain. He's just very talented. So I think out of the two, though, and I agree with you, there's probably a split involved there, especially both of them being away. So I'm gonna say 1-1 on those. And most likely, I'm seeing the win coming in Dallas and the loss coming in the Giants. And plus, not only do you look at the 1-1 split between the Cowboys and the Giants, but we're also going to play in New York twice.
Right.
Between the Jets and the Giants. And I see us taking maybe one, but not both.
I can see that.
So then you have the Texans. That's a loss.
Right. No matter who their quarterback is, it could be somebody off the practice squad. No matter who their running back is.
If we can't be the third string quarterback, yeah, exactly, then I'm pretty sure they're going to get us.
You know what? No.
Down in Houston.
I'm going to renege on that, though. I'm going to say we win this year. I think the Bengals are just fed up with losing to inferior teams, and I think they're going to come out and prove something against the Texans in Texas. I'm going to say that's a win.
You can't really say the Texans are inferior if they beat us with third-string quarterbacks. They're doing something right.
Yeah, they're doing something right, but I say we get them this year. We've lost to them too many times in a row for the Bengals, for Marvin Lewis to be like, all right, guys, I'm just going to step back and just let somebody else call this game so we can figure this out. I think we pull that one out.
I think the only way we pull out the Texans game, if it's within the first 2 or 3 games on the schedule and Brock Osweiler hasn't settled in yet. That would be my only way I think we beat the Texans. But if it's later in the year, it doesn't matter. They're going to beat us.
If I would say one thing that's going to prevent us from winning the game is going to be J.J. Watt. If we allow him to disrupt that offensive line, then it might be a wrap. But we got to be able to put up more points than we did last year.
Yeah, so and the thing is, that's what really stops us against the Texans is their defense just really has our number, and they really clamp us down. And
we got them this year. Trust me, we got them. We got them this year.
Man, I'm gonna let you go ahead and roll the faith rug out on that one.
I'm feeling it. I feel it. It's early, but I feel it.
With the Bengals and the Texans, not good.
All right, which brings us to home games.
The rest of the home schedule. The first one listed there is the Buffalo Bills. That's a win. We beat them at their house last year, and we're going to get them at home this time. I just don't see enough from that team. And plus, I just don't believe in Rex Ryan as a coach. I just really don't believe in him. He might be a decent defensive coordinator, but as a head coach, he just runs. His teams have too many penalties. They're just a little undisciplined, and when you face a really tight roster like we have, with a lot of depth and things of that nature, I just don't see the Buffalo Bills having what it takes to take us down at home. I just don't really see it.
I'm with you. If any indicator from last year is going to give us what we're going to do this year, it was a pretty easy game, if I can remember.
We controlled the game. From front to end at their house. I wouldn't say we whipped them, but I think we really controlled the game. And I haven't really seen them make any improvements that would make you think that they're going to be a ton better.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I would say we're going to pull that game out for sure.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm pretty confident in that one.
I agree with that. And then you go to the Dolphins at home. That's a win. Tannehill, I don't really believe in so far. They've made some improvements. They signed some people this last week, but I think also because Kevin Coyle, our new defensive back coach, and our old defensive back coach, who used to be the Miami Dolphin defensive coordinator, he's going to get that team shined up. He's going to get the Bengals shined up for that one because he's going to want revenge, even if he won't admit it publicly. But he's going to get that defense riled up against the Dolphins. And plus, they're at home. Depending on when we get them at home, it would depend on if we have any adverse weather. And honestly, their offense just doesn't do anything to scare me. So I just don't see why we can't beat the Dolphins.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I don't have much to add. Just to say that, I think we'll win that one.
Yeah, it's not much to talk about there.
I'm not too concerned about the Dolphins.
Yeah. Then you got the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the only reason why I think we can win this game is for a few reasons. Number one, we're at home. It'd be different if we were going to the Link. I think we can handle them at home. I think they're a team in transition coming out of the Kelly era and going into a new coach, and they're going to keep Sam Bradford, but he doesn't really scare anyone, to be honest with you. The receiving core doesn't scare anyone. The defense, they've kind of filtered out a lot of people because they were Kelly products. I see us beating the Eagles.
Even without us not knowing what our wide receiver situation is going to look like, I feel like we're a better team on paper anyway.
Yeah, even without the receivers.
Even without knowing that. So, I feel like we should have that game.
Plus, we play really tough at home, so I think we can get the Eagles. I don't think that'll be much of a problem. Then you have the Denver Broncos, the defending Super Bowl champion, Denver Broncos, with no quarterback. I'm hoping they're going to walk into the season with a little bit more than Mark Sanchez under center, because if not, they're going to be in for a long season. I think we can beat them at home. We barely lost to them on the road last year when they were full strength, when they were Super Bowl champs. Usually the year after a Super Bowl championship, and you're talking about a guy, an iconic figure like Peyton Manning leaving the building, so you lose his influence in the locker room of having a veteran, a legend in the locker room, if you will. Brock Osweiler leaves, so you have Sanchez trying to learn on the fly, plus maybe a draftee or another quarterback. I heard that they were looking at Fitzpatrick, but he wanted too much money. So maybe if Fitzpatrick's price goes down, maybe they take a shot at him. But they're definitely going to pick up another veteran, I think, and then they're going to draft a kid. So they're not going to be as strong as last year. We have a pretty deep roster. I hate playing in Denver because I don't care if we run out the '88 Bengals Super Bowl team and they run out whatever crappy year team they've ever had. We just don't win in Denver. So us getting them at home, I feel a lot more comfortable about that. I think we get that game.
Okay. I'm going to say, and mostly because we need to calculate some losses in here. We're being pretty optimistic with this schedule right now. I'm going to say
I don't think so.
I'm going to say we take one to the chin in Denver, only because their defense is pretty stellar. We usually don't have a lot of problems even with playing against good defenses, but just because we've been pretty optimistic so far with this schedule, I'm going to say we take a loss here.
Okay. Then the last game, we have the Redskins played in Wembley Stadium in good old London, home of James Bond and such figures, Sherlock Holmes and Scotland Yard. On that thread, I think we are going to make the Redskins 00 dead. I think we get them easy. I just don't believe in Kirk Cousins. I don't think Jay Gruden has that team where they need it to be to face a team like ours after a whole trip across the pond, if you will. And they're going to need Scotland Yard to figure out the pieces we leave of them on the field and how to put themselves back together. I think we absolutely just whip the Redskins in London. I'm thinking like 33-14.
That would be nice. I'd buy that. I'd like to be able to go over to London and pull out a win for the Bengals first, the international game over there. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. And not only that, but, you know, it would be important for our franchise as far as going over there and setting up new fans across the European continent. I think it'd be a good showing if we go over there and really take it to the Redskins. I think they're a good opponent for us because they're decent, but they're not horrible, but they're not great.
Yeah.
So I think, and plus we know Jay Gruden, we know his offensive system, we know what he likes to run, so defensively we should be ready. And I just don't think defensively they're stout enough to really, you know, train us the way they would want to. I think we have better special teams. So I think all the way around the clock, I think we just whip them. But it's going to be fun. Hopefully we get to go to London and do a podcast from the beautiful country of England. So I'm looking forward to the Washington Redskins game. I really am, because I believe it'll be a lot of fun. But I also believe that it's a game that we can make a statement.
Oh, we already know the date of that, don't we? It's like September 30th or something like that?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think I heard it was in September, which is kind of early for a London game. But I mean, if it is, it is. And it'll just give us a nice early win. I'm okay with that. So I'm thinking out of the 8 home games, 7-1 or 6-2. I'm okay with that. I think the away games, I think we go 4-4. So I think at worst we're going to be 10-6. At best we'll be 11-5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I think that's reasonable to expect.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that's pretty realistic based off of the schedule. Worst case scenario, 9-7, but I think we should be able to pull out 6-10.
Or 10-6.
Sorry. I think we should be able to pull out 10-6 without too much sweat.
And if we have a 6-10 season, a whole lot of things went wrong. Man.
I heard Ocho Cinco's coming back. What are you talking about?
Man, I wouldn't take Ocho Cinco back as a water boy because he would still have poison in the locker room. Like, I just, you know, maybe have him selling popcorn or something, or put him at the concession stand selling jerseys.
All right, so we're both in agreement that we think it'll be about a 10-6 type of a season.
Yeah, I think that's fair to assume. I think if we go 11-5, we win the division. If we go 10-6, we might have to, you know, either go through a tiebreaker. So it looks like maybe another wild card year, and then hope and pray to God that they can get over the hump.
Yeah.
Depending on who our opponent would be in the playoffs, but I will say that it's nice to know that perennially we have a team that can get us to the playoffs, because the 90s, man, like, wow.
As always, follow us, hit us up on Twitter. Till next time.